Hello, I am Tyler Marin. Today I will be getting an inside look at a teenager's life with divorced parents. She would like to remain anonymous, so for this podcast, her name will be Amelia. Amelia grew up in a happy family until she was about 6 years old. At this time, her family included both her parents, one older brother, and one older sister. This happiness did not last forever in her family. It eventually faded away. Do you remember seeing or hearing anything between you and your parents that would signify their divorce?
Well, when I was younger, they used to fight a lot. I could kind of tell they weren't happy, but I never thought it would lead to divorce. I didn't really know why they were fighting, but when I was about 10 or so, they told us that they were going to get a divorce, but then nothing ever happened after that. They just told us they were working on their marriage and going to counseling classes.
At the time, do you know why your parents are arguing?
Well, I had heard that my mom started gambling and was like spending a lot of money, but I didn't know why exactly. And I could tell that she wasn't happy, but I never knew why until that they actually confronted us and told us that they would be getting a divorce, but it never ended up happening.
It wasn't until Amelia was much older that she learned the truth about her parents' divorce. How old were you when you learned the truth about your parents' divorce?
I was about 10 because they sat me and my older brother and sister down and told us that there was a possibility of them getting a divorce. But they had told us they were doing marriage classes and counseling to try and get better. But it became apparent a couple years later that they weren't getting any better. And I had learned then that my dad had been cheating on my mom since I was about 6 years old, and that he never stopped. She had found out about it, and he just kept lying to her and telling her that everything would get better and that he had stopped, but she found evidence that he didn't.
It is very unlikely that a marriage will continue when a spouse has cheated on the other. Although it was a few years before Amelia and her siblings actually knew the real reason, the event still damaged their lives. Can you describe the moment when the divorce was certain?
It was on my niece's birthday party. Well, at it. She was turning 1. And afterwards, like, everyone else was gone except for, like, the main family. So, like, me, my brother, my dad, and my mom, and my niece were home. And it was, like, right about before I was going to go to a friend's house. But, my dad kicked my mom out of the house. He kicked her out that night. And then from that night, like, I stayed with my mom and my siblings at my grandma's for a while. But then started talking to my dad again. But after that, it was pretty much finalized that they were getting a divorce.
After this event, Amelia's life was full of trauma and unhappiness, which led her into doing actions that she regrets to this day. Eventually, things got better for Amelia when she realized what she was doing. She eventually learned from her mistakes and got back on her feet. How do you feel about the divorce at this point in your life?
I feel the divorce at this point was a good decision because it was obvious that my dad didn't want to stay committed in the marriage relationship, that he wanted to be single and be with the girl he was cheating on my mom with. So I think it was a good thing, even though like it affected my mom a lot because she's still unhappy and I could tell she's still in love with my dad, but she knows nothing between them is ever going to happen. And I think it's just really hard for her to face because they were married for 27 years. But she knows that she needs to get over it, but she's having a really tough time. And it just is tough on me and my siblings and all.
This was a big event in your life, and there are a number of teens and kids in similar situations. Do you have any advice to share that might help them through their difficult time?
I would just say, don't do stuff you would regret in the future. Like, if you think it's a bad decision doing it then it's probably going to end up being one in the future. But have somebody you can talk to if you, like, need somebody, like a friend or a counselor maybe, even though it's hard to talk about because not having anyone there to talk with is kind of just hard, and, like, having to deal with it on your own, you kind of get lost and don't know what to do or how to, like, face it yourself. So just have somebody or something there for you so you don't end up doing worse things to yourself.